Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Barry Beat podcast, streaming live to 802 Scoop from the Inside Scoop Studios, Main Street, Barre, Vermont. Vermont.
Hey, you got a like slang in your
I
voice
had a
there.
little slang there. With me tonight, I have my great friend, Lucas Herring, former mayor of Barre City, former city councilor, former school board chair, former school board member. You've got them all.
Yeah.
But I don't have the mayor title.
No, but you acted as mayor.
I did.
You
I
did.
did. So that does count.
Yep.
That does count. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you? But I have
Uh,
not acted as a representative, so I can't. You got me. You got me
I
beat.
do. I got you on that one. I got you on that one at least. You're doing well? It's been a
Yeah.
while since you've been here.
Yeah, doing well. Of course, I live in Northfield now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
we
You
can
could
say
move
it-
back to Barre.
We can say it as 4 years ago or 2 terms ago. As soon as I was done my mayoral term, I moved over with my girlfriend over in Northfield, and I sold my house to her daughter, and so she still lives in my old residence over on Elm Street or Railroad Street. So I live on Elm Street now in Northfield. So
You could always move back.
right now, the whole reason why I moved over there in the first place was because she has 3 children, and after I did have 2 terms, we tried what we could. The first term was great. The second term, of course, was COVID, so there wasn't as much we could get done. But we had already talked about it where I would move over there because of her kids and being in school. So it was either me just moving over, just me, or having her and at the time 3 kids all moving over. And so during those COVID years, we had what was the COVID house and the non-COVID house. It was a way to make sure that people were staying healthy. And her daughter liked being here in Barre. So we kind of talked about it for a bit. She tried living there for a little bit just to see if she liked it, and she did. And then ultimately she bought the house. So I moved over to Northfield, and she moved over here.
Well, like I said, you can always come back.
Yeah. I
You're
don't know.
like,
I'm still in Vermont, lifelong Vermonter here. So
It's true. At least you got that.
Yeah.
So we're just going to go through some quick stuff. First, want to let folks know that we raised over $300 for the Barre Community Baseball Softball for the kids on Saturday for Michael on a Mission. And super thankful to those that came in and actually donated after the sleazeball stole the tips off the table. So, because that happened.
Wow.
We were so. Are you familiar with the Michael on the Mission?
You've done a couple of them, and I know one of them was to.
Oh yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
That was stupid. So we had one, and it was benefiting the kids, the baseball kids, and or Barre Community Baseball. And so people would leave tips on the table, and we didn't immediately go pick them up. And this guy, he came in, he was kind of sketchy looking, but you're not supposed to judge. Obviously I judged correctly. But anyway, so he came in, he went over to one of the tables and brought over glasses to me. I didn't even think about it. My guess is he went over and stole the tip from that table and then brought the glasses over to me as like a smoke and mirrors. And then he got up and he grabbed like $40 to $60 on one table, and one of the other people that were there yelled, and we were like all yelling, "Stop him! Stop! Don't!" And he just booked it.
So were you able to catch him after?
No. Yep, slime ball, but that's okay because people stepped up. There was a couple people that came down and donated money and said, because of this, and I think, and Raylene Walkers Monuments does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
They said that they were gonna to replace the funds,
Oh.
which was super awesome.
That is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
So again, I apologize to everyone. My voice is still a problem. It is what it is. I can't get it fixed. It just happens.
Can I say about a different fundraiser?
Sure, go for it.
So recently too, we from the Barre Lions, we did a bottle drive, and it was the weekend before Green Up Day. Just because this year on Green Up Day we had our convention, our statewide convention up at J Peak, so we did things a little bit early. And during that bottle drive, we were thankful the Mutual let us use their parking lot. We put our trailers out there. You stopped by and said hi.
I did, and I gave some money.
Yeah, we received over $200 in donations, over $1,000 from the bottles itself, and so
Nice.
all of the donations total will be given to the Veterans Place over in Northfield, where I currently am. But no, it supports veterans in transition. So think of it as a person that had housing is down and out, and they need a place temporarily. The Veterans Place is able to help them not just with a bed, but also the wraparound services to help them get back on their feet and back into the community. So it is really appreciated from the community. So thank you to everyone that came and donated bottles. We're looking to possibly doing it next year too. It just seemed very great. The weather was great. Maybe that's why. Like when the weather's rainy, you never know what's going to happen. But the people that really showed up, they really did. Like truckfuls of bottles. You think about how many bottles it takes to like raise $1,000. It's a lot.
It's a lot of bottles. That's
Yeah.
a lot of bottles. But well, it's
Well, and thank you to Mark Tatro especially because he's the one that had his trailers down there, and we just filled them. We had to keep like swapping out trailers. We had small ones, and it was like, it's not going to do it. So we brought a little bit bigger one. They were like, well, we need another one. So that Monday, we took the 2 big trailers that we ended up filling over to the Beverage Baron. And those guys, I mean, they get swamped. There's not many people over there. So I understand what they say. Like, if you try to come in on a Saturday or Sunday, like, don't do it as a bottle drive. It's just not fair to them. That's when everybody else is bringing their like onesie and twosie bags. So if you can set up a time with them, it's better for sure. Come on a day like a Tuesday or Wednesday when most people aren't going to be showing up, and it's going to be better on one of those big bottle drives.
nice. And Barb did confirm it was Randy Walker from Family Memorial that commented and said they would bring down the check. So super, super thankful. And I think
Awesome.
Michael on a Mission, which is through 802 Scoop, did the Veterans Place a couple months ago, correct?
You did that as one of your first ones.
Yes. And it was that 500?
It was a little like right around $500.
About
Yeah.
$500, which is pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got the check through Tasty Bites and brought it over because they handed me a check. It was great going in, get the picture right there at the location. So
nice.
they're great people too.
Yep. And we're supposed to have frost tonight. Did you hear that?
I did. So Sarah asked me what we're going to be putting on the flowers because April showers bring May flowers, and they're popping up. So we have a number of old tarps that have ripped over time, and we're most likely going to use that as to cover over the plants.
I have no plants I need to protect.
Well, the other thing I did, you were asking me like what's new. Because when I lived over here, my property was 0.08 acres. Couldn't really have like a big fire pit. And where I live now, it's like a double
But
lot.
you had one.
I did not at my house. No, we had one
No?
at my neighbor's house.
Oh,
So
okay. Yep.
she had what is considered like a Barre double lot, which would be like 0.16 acres. So that other house, like where it would sit, was enough of a lawn where you could call and say, can we have a fire pit here? And they said yes for her. But where we are in Northfield, like a house lot is much bigger. So the space in between houses are bigger. But I ended up a couple years ago, we had a little fire pit and it was like on the side of the property, but I moved it right in the middle of that lot. And if you think of like a kiddie pool, one of those plastic ones, that will fit on the inside of where I put the stone. So it can be fairly large, but it's in the middle of the lot. So we can have a lot of people around it. And the location where it was, it's all ledge. One side, it has this nice, it's like a reflecting wall now when you have the fire going. So it just helps illuminate the entire area. So it's really cool. You should come over and check it out.
Well, I appreciate the invite, for the other times that you had a bonfire with folks.
Well, usually it's I am trying to clean up brush and stuff, but because of all these changes, it was all clay underneath, and we've now put down sand and soil and seeded it. So all around it is more of a level area. So to me, it's now like presentable, and so I can invite more people like you over.
Well, you'll have to do that this summer.
Yeah, we'll do.
You could do it this week. It's going to be beautiful. So Monday, even though we have frost tonight, 60 degrees with PM showers. Tuesday is going to be 58 degrees, bright and cool. So I'll probably take the trike in on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, it's going to be showers late in the afternoon, 57 degrees. Thursday, more showers, 59 degrees. Friday, leftover showers, 66 degrees. Saturday is going to be sun and clouds, which, fun fact, the trails will be open for VASA. So I got to get my registration and my VASA sticker, Vermont ATV Sportsman Association. And then Sunday, possible showers. Did you get an ATV yet?
I do not. No.
And then Monday, it's turning warmer with 73 degrees. So we're going to be up in the 70s this week.
I was interested in your comment of taking the bike to work, because I've been listening to, I was calling it Books on Tape, and Sarah goes, Lucas, you're old. It's not Books on Tape anymore. It's like ebooks. But through the Libby app, if you have a library card, like even if you have one here in Barre, you can put in your number into the app, and it'll have all those ebooks that are available for you. And the most recent one I was listening to was about, it mentioned Copenhagen and how over 50% of the population,
Copenhagen,
however you want to pronounce it, but over 50% of their population bikes to school, work. Their legislators bike into their building.
Really?
Like all of that, which is kind of cool. So where us as a society, we do it as like you drive to a park to go and do your like running around, or you drive to the gym. They're more like they bike to wherever they go, and then that's part of their exercise. So it's pretty cool. So I'm proud of you to bike.
I love driving my trike. Everybody knows that I do. What I don't like is the potholes that I have to go over. Those suck immensely. I know that somebody has mentioned, we should do registrations for bikes, which if I knew the money was going to go to the bike lanes, I would be like, yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Well, earmark it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Is that anything that would be in the legislature currently to
not to my knowledge. There might be something, but I'm not familiar with it.
Well, because wasn't there something similar for EVs in order to do mileage?
There definitely was for the EVs.
Yeah.
We should tax the crap out of those.
But did anything pass? Is anything moving forward?
I don't think it's passed yet. The T-bill has not gone through yet.
Gotcha.
Because I'm hoping that they will take the pilot funds and redirect because we have a surplus of pilot funds, which is, for folks that don't know, the local options tax that we have is 25% goes back to the state and to deal with the administration and blah, blah, blah. And then they put it into the pilot fund, which is money that's given out to municipalities if they host buildings in their communities that are state run, because there's no taxes on them.
Yeah. So pilot stands for payment in lieu of taxes.
Correct. And there's a huge surplus amount from these local options taxes, and they're trying to figure out how to deal with them. And there's a significant push to have the funds go into roads, which, yes, please.
So if it's a program for pilot, and there's communities like Barre that have a large number of buildings that are state buildings, like wouldn't they just change the ratio of what the pilot was and give it to those municipalities?
They haven't, and I would say let's not do that, only because which communities have a large amount of state buildings but don't have local options taxes, right? So My preference would be just put it into the roads because those have the most impact on all the communities.
Well, and if you put it into a statewide program, then you would be leveraging more federal funds if it is for the roads. So,
Correct.
yeah.
That too. And Barb says a lot of money is supposed to go to fixing the roads, but apparently it doesn't. A lot of the money that we collect also goes to the education blob.
Well, and I'm trying to remember back, and I think it was 2018 when we tried to balance our budget that year with adding the local options, and all of the other, that 75% that the city was receiving would go directly for roads and sidewalks. We estimated, I think Tom actually provided the sheet that estimated how much would come in, but the amount of inflation on like how you construct roads is higher than what the average inflation rate is. So I think it went up a lot higher. So we didn't, it didn't match.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see that because, now we're 6 years from when that happened.
I can't remember how much
8 years.
money
8 years from
has been put into it. I don't know what the amount is, so I'm not even going to try to guess.
Yeah. So good question. Ask your city councilor how much money is raised from the local options tax that goes toward the roads. That might be good, especially you're talking about the budget and potholes.
Yep. So let's talk about that next. So obviously Tuesday is voting day from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. in Barre City. It's at Alumni Hall, which is right next to the Barre Auditorium. So it's that building that is connected to the Barre Auditorium, but it's just go to the Barre Auditorium. That's where you need to go.
They'll have signage.
They'll have signage. And that's from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Tuesday, May 12th. And for Barre Town, it's the Barre Town Middle and Elementary School Gymnasium at 70 Websterville Road. Also 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I don't have the details on the Barre Town stuff, so you'll have to reach out to your selectmen. We need to get somebody down here from Barre Town to start providing us a status update on that stuff. But Barre City voters will decide on the FY27 municipal budget on May 12th. The proposed budget is $15.8 million and would raise $11.3 million through property taxes. It's an estimated 5% increase while using $255,000 from fund balance to help manage the tax rate. The budget restores the Barre Bees for the downtown bike patrol, which
Cool.
we all love. I wonder if I can be a bee.
You should be able to now.
You know what I would be? A bumblebee.
Are you going to paint your bike red and,
I know it's
yellow
already
and black?
red. It's red.
I know, but yellow and black for a bumblebee.
No. Rebuilds the recreation department, supports local partners such as our, Barre Partnership, our library, all of that. Increases the paving budget to $800,000, including work on several city streets and milling South Main Street, which technically is the job of the state. It also identifies nearly $590,000 in savings and new non-tax revenue, though bulky waste and tire disposal events remain unfunded. I'm sure they'll figure that out, though.
Yeah, that is something, because I'm on the Green Up Vermont board too. So I know you mentioned all the things I was on, but of course, Green Up Day is like my holiday. You know that already.
Oh, I know. Well, how many boards are you on?
A lot. Let's just leave it at that. But for Green Up stuff, we always love the tire waste disposal day because with Green Up, you are getting tires that are off on the side of the road, but there's lots of people that they've just kept on to tires and they're just on their property.
Yeah.
The Friends of the Winooski, also they dredge like all these tires out of the rivers when
would you say what word?
Dredge. They pull what?
You're going to trigger
strategically
people.
remove tires from the river. Is that better? Whatever you want to call it. They remove the tires, but so it gets it out of the waterway. But those tires usually get there because there was a flooding event and the tires are stored next to the river. So
Yeah.
when the water level rises, it just takes them with it. And if we had a better way to remove them, I can remember when we had those events before, how many like tires, tons of tires that were taken out of our community.
This group of people that watch Barry Beat probably support dredging, just as a side note.
It's the
Real
word I know.
dredging.
It's just in my vernacular.
And then, of course, we have the BUUSD revote, the revised 57.4 million school budget back to voters on May 12th after March 12th budget failed. I'm sorry, March budget failed. The new budget increases overall spending by 1.5 million or 2.73%, but the ballot will show an 11.8% increase per pupil because Vermont education spending sucks and is confusing and does everything in its power to make our lives miserable. That's not in my notes. The revised plan cuts 100,000 for summer school, shifts some positions back to grant funding, shares the school resource officer position, and uses stabilization and fund balance money to soften the tax impact. The projected equalized tax rate increase is now just under 5%, though Barre City's reappraisal makes the actual property tax impact harder to predict. So for a lot of folks in Barre, they got the postcard. The postcard said, Barre City's going down $342 per $100,000. Not happening. They did not calculate the numbers the way that they really should have. At the end of the day, we're looking at, for Barre Town and Barre City, more than likely a $100 to $200 increase per $100,000. Once you factor in the appraisal, it goes up 60%. But, and you know this, right? Like, the way to get to a 0% tax increase is to cut our school budget by like $5 million, which I constantly say that has impacts.
It does. I mean, zero is not a real number.
It's not.
And so the real challenge is, what inflationary number do you use? Because there's the CPI and then there's the CPI New England and all those. And, you know, it's interesting because inflation does change at different levels. Think about gas prices. If you go to California, it's like $6 a gallon, where here it's $4.50, where if you go down to like Alabama, it's probably like $3.50. You know, like, it all depends on those inflationary factors. And it happens every year.
Well, the other thing is that our budget does not have a direct impact on our taxes here. It really, for the most part, it doesn't, right? Like I said, $5 million would drive down our tax rate to zero. $5 million. That's a huge chunk. But we're being affected by all other communities in the state of Vermont that may or may not be caring about their budget. I mean, I won't go down that road.
No, but one thing that I would say, like, if you look at it statewide versus just at a municipal level, I kind of compare it because I'm a state employee. If you're my position, but you live in Barre or Northfield or the Northeast Kingdom, like, it's the same wage. You get paid to be your position. But teachers, it's not the same. You could be a second grade teacher in Barre or in Winooski or in Essex. You're going to have a different wage wherever you go. You know, if you think of it, like, if it was more of an equalized system, then all
Bigger
those
districts.
teachers, what?
Bigger districts?
Well, I'm not even saying the district size. I'm saying if each teacher got paid the equal pay for their position because they're doing the exact same thing, then that makes more sense. And that's just currently not the case. So I think part of the reform is that note right there. Why does a teacher move from Barre City to another place? Because they can make more money doing the exact same job.
True. Or the working environment's easier,
Right, closer to home, all sorts of things. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be on the ballot for this Tuesday. Barb says, if someone has tires that need to be taken care of, shouldn't they pay for themselves rather than taxpayers? That is the problem. There's no self-responsibility anymore. It's always up to the state to fund everything. which is why so many people are moving out of the state because they can't afford to take care of themselves and everyone else, which is, I mean, that's valid.
Well, but on that same note, so if you put just like you have a returnable amount on a can, if you had a $5 returnable amount on each tire you bought, then the place that sells tires would have to take it back, and that $5 fee covers that cost. So instead of it being like you said, like the government doesn't do it, but they force a way.
Do we have that? We don't have
We
that.
don't have that, but we could. I mean, it.
I mean, I don't have a
Mr.
problem doing
Legislator, like there could be a bill put in place and say, please do this.
$5 deposit on tires.
Or whatever the number is. I mean, if they did because I know the legislature loves to do studies. So they could do a study and figure out what the right number is and then make a bill and do it.
Legislature likes to do studies. I do not.
Fair point.
Okay.
Fair point.
A Vermont Digger review finds that Park Mobile service fees are showing up across 6 Vermont communities. And in some cases, drivers pay more in fees than for the parking itself. The app, run by Arrive, is now used in Burlington, Barre, Montpelier, Woodstock, Rutland, and St. Albans, with fees ranging from 35 cents to as much as $2 depending on the city and contract. Burlington records show Park Mobile collecting more than $1 million in service fees there between 2021 and 2026.
So
that's a lot of money.
It is. And is there anything that prevents these companies from charging a fee that's high? Like instead of it being just like a 1% or up to like amount, so you can only gain 1% or $2, whatever is highest, and that, or I should say lowest on our end, but highest for the company.
So I think the issue that you have to take into consideration with this is the convenience, right? Like I don't ever carry change, and in Barre, a 15-minute weekday parking session through the app cost 80 cents, with 25 cents going to the city. So, but I pay the 80 cents just because it's convenient for me.
Well, not just that, you got to think of the staff person that has to walk around and check all those meters to make sure somebody actually paid them. So,
yeah, but they still do that.
So on like they have a tablet that does tell them the ones that are active or not, and it's like easier. So it's limiting the number of staff that you need.
Oh, is it? Is it easier?
It's a cost avoidance piece for each of those municipalities. So
I didn't know that.
Let's look at it this way. So if
well, it makes it easier for collecting, that's for sure.
And that too, yeah, because you're not going around with the. I remember the person here pushing the little thing around and putting all the change into the little
D.
Put it in the little cart.
I think she still works for the city.
Yeah, but yeah, so just imagine all that time you have to spend doing that isn't there. So there's a cost avoidance for the number of hours that person has to do it. So it would be good to see that's like a cost benefit analysis. But still, if 25 cents out of every 80 is going to the municipality, that ratio is way off, right? Shouldn't it be the revenue stream? Most of that's going to the municipality rather than toward a company that's providing that service. It's just like your credit card, right? How much are credit card fees?
Well, I think that's partly what it is that the credit card fees is, you have to pay for those, and that's what you're using the app for. And, you could get smaller rates if we went with somebody else probably, but it wouldn't be as convenient. And everybody has Park Mobile app, right? I mean, do you have a Park Mobile?
I don't.
You don't?
I still, I don't even have a credit card, to be honest with you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm more of a cash, and I have change on me all the time. So, yeah.
You're better. Barb says that would be fine. And since I don't have a car, I don't want to have to pay for other people. So I think $5 tire deal would be good. So she's on board.
Yeah. Well, and it's the same thing with the parking. If you don't have a car, you're not paying that fee or the need to even pay to park. So
that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
So again, if you're doing that, it's the cost avoidance of having more staff, which then drives down your tax rate. So
Yep. Yeah. Burlington contract sets the service fee at 15% of the parking cost, with a 35-cent minimum and a $2.50 maximum. And St. Alban uses a flat 40-cent fee per transaction.
Yeah, but transaction, right? So if I'm parking for what, half an hour, that's where you're doing the quarter. So it's 40 cents and 25. Like, yeah, doesn't jive. Unless you want to
If
raise
you
all those parking
enjoy-
fees.
If you enjoy the Park Mobile app in Barre City, you're welcome. If you don't, that was the city manager, Steve, that did it.
No, I think it was a good idea to put it in a place.
Was.
I don't know if they have See Click Fix anymore either, but I like that as an app too.
I don't think they have that anymore.
If anytime you see one of these potholes, you could literally take a picture of it. It would geolocate where you were, and it puts it on a task list that then the DPW department would see. And if you had 5 people take the same picture at the same location, you know it's a problem area, and it helps prioritize the areas to fix. So, yeah, I don't know if it's still there either. But.
Brian Massey says, what, no invite to the party?
Oh,
You know what, Brian?
Brian's been there before. Brian lives over Northfield. So.
Yeah, you have 30 minutes if you want to get here. 6 people are facing drug-related charges after Barre City Police and other agencies searched an Allen Street home Wednesday night. Police say they seized crack, cocaine, fentanyl, suspected LSD, weapons, and cash during the raid. 2 Connecticut men, Julian Henderson and Tyshawn Parkman, faced the most serious charges and were due in court last Thursday afternoon.
So out of those 6 people, how many did you say were not Vermonters?
2. The other 4, Amber Hussey, who I've seen her name before, so this must be like a normal thing. Jean Zamperi, those are from Barre, and then Dustin Boyce, who's from Williamstown, and Brittany McAdams is also from Barre.
Yeah. Well, because a lot of times, like
One
anywhere
of
in
them is
Vermont.
62 years old. Jean is 62 years old. I'm actually very surprised. Usually you don't see that age.
Yeah.
But that's really sad.
No, but a lot of times, like, because we saw this before, it was there would be a location in Barre. It would be like one person from Barre because that was the house, but all the people that were caught were actually coming from another place, bringing the drugs here.
Well, they're trap houses, right?
And so it could be any town. It could be any town that they find where someone would be willing to allow them to bring those drugs.
Yeah,
it's rough.
It's frustrating. What I find really frustrating is when they set up these trap houses inside publicly funded buildings. That makes me angry. Me personally, it makes me very angry.
Yeah. But it's great to see that the police caught them, and it's going to be making sure that those drugs aren't on the street. So
didn't they have, was this the one that had like a $250,000 bail and they were able to post it?
I don't know.
I don't remember. One of them was, which is insane. If you can post a $250,000 bail, that means we should bump it up to like 2 million.
Well, the question is, where did the funds come from? Is it from like accounts where they?
It's obviously
sold
drugs, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, bail's a whole weird thing in itself. Like, if you're providing drugs to, like, I don't know the type of, I didn't see the article, but if it is a drug where somebody can die or overdose like quickly on
fentanyl. They had fentanyl, crack cocaine.
Then why is
LSD.
a bail even a thing? You know what I mean?
I guess Vermont, you're right. I mean, ultimately, what would be perfect is to have a 24-hour court system where the minute you're busted, you go to court and then we put your ass in jail forever.
Well,
oh, sorry.
I don't know.
That was a little too much, huh?
Well, because 24 hours is tough for the police to make sure that, you know, all their reports are in, they have everything documented correctly. Like, that's just tough. I'm sure some place does it, but I would say that'd be tough for either side to either represent yourself or have someone represent you, and then on the other side for the charges. Like, there's paperwork time, you know, it's got to take a little
True.
bit.
Barb says the sad part is that they raid some places over and over and nothing ever gets done. If you're living in subsidized housing and get caught selling drugs out of there, you should automatically be thrown out. I agree with that. There was actually a bill in the legislature that made it easier to get rid of people that are selling drugs out of apartments. And, you know, I feel wicked bad for Barre Housing Authority because they've had this. I almost think Amber Hussey lives in the Barre Housing Authority. I might be wrong. Somebody will probably correct me on that. But the Barre Manor has had several busts, and it's not the Barre Housing Authority's fault. They can't get them out quick enough. They try, but the system is designed to make it difficult, which some would say that's a good thing. I would say when it comes to drugs, it's a bad thing. But I'm a mean, ugly person.
I'm sure there's a happy medium. I wouldn't even want to call it that, but like a way that both perspectives could be addressed in order to address that issue.
Put them in jail. A Vermont Senate proposal to send just over $1 million to opioid settlement money to Burlington's proposed overdose prevention center is drawing new questions from Senator Ginny Lyons of Chittenden County. Lyons says a reported 25% drop in fatal overdoses from 2024 to 2025 may change the conversation about whether the state needs that level of service, even as supporters say the goal is to prevent deaths and connect people with treatment.
I have a guest.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Oh, she's giving you love. She's rubbing her scent on you.
Yeah. Like I said, my dogs are going to think I'm cheating on them when I get home. They'll be like, "Where were you?" So.
Safe injection sites? You don't have to answer. I will answer. I will say absolutely not.
Yeah, it's interesting because it is, if you are providing, you're not allowing them to use illegal drugs, but you're giving them a program to get off the illegal drug, like a recovery center.
It's not a recovery center.
No, I understand what you're saying,
Oh.
but like,
Sorry.
why can't we, again, try to find that compromise of, if I am an addict and I want to recover, I go to a facility where they give me drugs that wean me off from the narcotic or whatever you're on. So instead of having a safe injection site where you're continually taking the illegal drug, like you could be in a facility that helps you. I guess, why can't we fund facilities that help people?
I would rather pay the $1 million for that. Not for needle exchanges and not for safe injection sites. Just not on my list of things that are okay. There was a couple comments on that post on 802 Scoop. One of them was Mr. Bombardier.
Oh, former chief?
Yes, former chief said, he wrote, "Pretty sure there's a law violation there." 100% accurate. So I took a look. I actually shared that on my page, and somebody on my page wrote 21 USC 856, known as the Crack House Statute, which was 1986. Federal law makes it illegal to knowingly open, lease, rent, maintain, or use any place for the purpose of manufacturing, distributing, or using any controlled substance. So how these safe injection sites survive, I don't know, but I'll just say that the federal government should clap down. And you know what? Just as a side note to people that want to push back on the federal government, that's one way we should. I might consider pushing back more on the federal government just so that they'll crack down.
Well, it is a different administration now, and they probably will start looking into things like.
I hope they do. I don't think safe injection sites are good for us, but I'm a jerk.
You're not a jerk. You have opinions.
I have a lot of opinions.
You're a teddy bear, Michael.
I'm a teddy bear.
You are.
Some people really don't think that. Governor Phil Scott vetoed a bill aimed at reducing road salt pollution in Vermont, saying it could expose towns and private contractors to more lawsuits and costs. Supporters said the measure was voluntary and would have trained road crews and commercial applicators to use less salt while offering some legal protections. Keyword is some.
Yeah. So if it is voluntary, nobody had to do it anyway, right?
So right now it's voluntary.
Mhm.
And that's always the thing. Like they soft pedal stuff, right? Or is it soft?
Well, it's called putting your nose under the
Soft
tent.
start.
You get
Right.
something out there and then you
Yeah.
change it after.
So right now it's voluntary, but you know darn well in a couple of years it will be mandatory. And what it does is it sets up this, oh, you got immunity, but you have to do all these things. And you know that you're not going to always check every single box. You don't have time for that. And there's going to be mistakes made. And then a trial lawyer will be able to plow right through that and sue, a municipality or a salt.
Well, and I think what you're saying is because the road wasn't maintained, then the municipality is exposed for like a lawsuit because the car got into an accident on a corner that was icy.
Correct. Or more likely is in the morning, the city clerk comes in, she salts the steps, doesn't put enough on, and forgets to note that she salted. That means she's no longer, the municipality is no longer immune from the lawsuit.
Well, and so isn't it like Vermont is the safe roads at safe speeds versus states next to us like New York, which are clear roads, like they have different policies on it. So like if you drive on a road in Vermont, it might be that you see the tire tracks. And so it's safe as long as you're driving at a safe speed. If you get out of the tire tracks, then you're going to get in trouble. Versus if you go to New York, like literally you see at the border these tracks end, and then all of a sudden the like entire road is clear. So my question on this road salt rule would be, what is the same pollution level or like amount of salt is the same neighboring state putting into Lake Champlain or into the Connecticut River on our borders, so you can do a comparison?
That's a good question. It makes you wonder whether or not it's our salt or someone else's salt.
Because if it's all going into the same water basin, then you got to say, yes, that body has too much salt, but where is it coming from?
That's a good question.
That'd be good for a study, right?
That would be great for a study.
I know you don't like
But-
studies. I was picking on you.
So this bill, I actually offered an amendment on it, working with VLCT, which is Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns. You know that, I know.
I
But
was on that board.
yes. Oh my goodness, you're on everything.
I was.
Uh,
When I was mayor, I was on that board.
So Vermont Leagues and City and Towns was not supportive of this bill. They wanted to have the same liability caps as the state of Vermont. And I tried to pass that on the amendment, and it was like, no bueno. It was not passing.
Yeah.
So, it would have made it so it could have passed, and it got vetoed, which is what we expected.
Well, the other question too is not even like where the water is going in the end, but if we were to test and just look out on the side of any roadway and to look at, I mean, you can actually see this. If you look at Route 62 in the springtime and you see the vegetation on the side of the roads and how much of that vegetation is not green, it's like a dingy, weird, like gross color. A lot of that is because of when you put that salt on the road and then the plows push it, it pushes it not just like into the little crevice on the side of the road where the water drains off, but it pushes it further. So it'd be interesting to see, like, is the intent to decrease the amount of vegetation that is destroyed, like in addition to the water pollution downstream?
They were only talking about the water, so that would be my I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll skip the horses at the race in Jericho. 5-mile road race in Jericho got an unexpected Vermont style finish when 3 loose ponies joined the lead man's runner near the end of the course. The Green Mountain Athletic Association says Neil Graves was approaching the finish line of Pump It Up,
Pump up
sorry,
the jam. Pumped up. Yeah.
race when the ponies came in from a neighboring farm, but race officials say the animals stayed calm and everyone was safe. That would have been cool to watch.
I'm sure there's a video out there. Right?
There is. Do you
Okay.
want to? Do you want to run with ponies?
I am
feel
not
like you would
Dances
wanna.
with Wolves or,
You're not a run with the ponies kind of person.
I will tell you, this is a little personal story, but when I was like 18, my parents wanted to move out to Montana. So we took a trip out to Montana and stayed on a really tiny farm in Billings, Montana. Like, I'm telling you, this was like 8 miles. This farm was 8 miles from the town. And there was a herd of deer that was out there. And there's a video of me running with the deer because I was an 18-year-old and it was just me running out, being me at the time. So nowadays, no, I could never do that. But I have done something similar.
Running with the deer. I haven't done that. I've pet deer, and that's about the closest I've done. I don't run very much anyway.
Yeah. Well, you got to think I was young. I played sports when I was in high school. Like I was in
True.
much better shape than I am now. So I could run a little bit better.
You're still in pretty good shape. Don't you do the 5-mile race here or whatever?
The Granite City 5K?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Don't you
I'll be
do
doing
that?
the corporate cup, but we're just walking.
Yeah. You know what? I might do the corporate cup with my trike.
Are you able to?
I won't register. I'll just go.
If Brian is still on there, I think the American Legion is doing a 5K, and it's called Run, Walk, or there's another piece to it. So if he's listening right now, I'm sure he'll have the information because I think Post 3 in Montpelier is sponsoring it, and it's a 5K. It's
Am I
coming up
allowed
here
to
in
use a
June.
trike that has an E functionality?
I don't know. Maybe you have to turn the E off, but I think it's
Sure.
there might be something. Yeah, you'll be like, oh yeah, I turned it off.
Vermont educators gathered in Fairleigh this week to talk about how artificial intelligence is changing the classroom. The discussion part of Vermont Student Assistance Corporation's VSAC annual's transition conference focused on helping students use AI responsibly while preparing them for a future where the technology is likely to play a growing role. I love AI.
Do you use it for your videos on Facebook?
Oh, I use it for everything.
So
And
I mean,
I'm using it
honestly,
for work too.
we were just talking about this before we went on the air, and I was looking up using Copilot, the terminology. What is the proposed forensic facility in Vermont related to offenders that cannot stand trial? So it gave me something. And then from that, I asked the follow-up question is, why is it called a forensic facility? So it gives you the information and then it cites the information. So if you want to check the source just to make sure it's correct, you can go back and just make sure it's there. So it's a tool. I think the question is like making sure people use the tool correctly. And I'll even go back to when we were in high school, it was like using the TI-83 calculator. And some people knew how to program the calculator to give them the quadratic equation. Whereas the rest of us that didn't have the money to buy that calculator, we were learning how to do it and did it in not just in our heads, but like on a piece of paper. So it's really like we're at a different stage in life now where that calculator is just another computational tool that we're using for whatever purpose. And we need to make sure we're knowing how to use it and use it responsibly.
So here's my take. And by the way, Brian says that I can't use my trike.
I tried.
Here's my take on this. I think you should teach how to do it, but also teach how to use the AI. So for the quadruplegic, whatever.
Yeah.
which
use
I didn't learn.
You use the quadratic equation.
I don't even know what it is. What is it?
We'll go back to algebra 2 and take it.
I didn't take algebra 2. I think
Oh,
I passed like
okay.
algebra 1 at best.
Okay.
I was in applied math with Mr. Pinard.
Well, it's a high school thing, and
Yeah. So the point is that I think you should be able to, you should learn it, but then use the tools afterwards to facilitate or to help. We were having this conversation last week because UVM is using for their training for their doctors, they're making them take manual notes and do everything manually for like the first 6 months so that they get an understanding of it. And then they allow them to use the AI tools that are out there, which personally, I think that's the better route to go. You learn your grammar, but then, as you get older, you can use the Word document that like fixes it all for you. Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because I've been to the doctor recently, and they ask you up front if they're able to record the session, because then they're going to use that with AI in order to write your chart. And so you're able to, as part of that My Chart, like, because that's who I have for health insurance, go in and look at what the report wrote, and you can see like all the items. And honestly, it's just like anything else AI would do directly. It might not be 100% correct, and you can either comment back or make sure that it's clarified.
But if you don't have the knowledge to understand what it should look like, because AI, you have to check it. It is not 100%.
Correct.
Yeah. But yeah, I
just think about those videos you can make or the images. It often has like some little thing, and you'd be like, oh, you can tell it's not real because this glitch. Right, extra fingers. Yeah.
I will say it's getting better, but you still can tell. You get that like uncanny valley feel to it. Wait until we can't feel that anymore.
Yeah.
It'll be cool.
And that's probably coming, like
yeah,
the reality. Or you put it through so many times that it catches itself that it had 6 fingers instead of 5 and makes those changes. But that's what we're doing right now. Like as humans, we're using a tool. We're seeing like the 80% that's correct. We're fixing the other 20. And then in the educational sense, it's like helping to help draft the outline for a paper.
Yeah.
I don't see any problem with drafting an outline because it helps you put the categories where it needs to be. You get the content, you validate the content, you put in your sources.
And I would say that you should still be able to do that without the AI, like as part of the education process. You should learn to do that, but also allow, you can use AI, but you have to know the actual process, or you have to know the subject matter. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, the content, not like if you think about even how like a calculator works. Like, do you know how a calculator works? Like, if I was to open it up and know all the
no, but I know how to do math.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I should be able to know, 12 times 12 equals 144 before I start using a calculator to type in 12 times 12 equals 144.
Right. Well, or you don't have to, because the simple ones like 12 times 12. But when it gets to 99 times 99 to equal 9,801, you're going to be like, how do you do that? Right. Like, so you have the tool to do it.
Did you like memorize that?
There's a formula to know how to do those types of calculations too.
That quickly?
Yes.
120 times 50.
Oh, what is it? 6,000?
I don't know.
And then I'll
It's
double
12
check
times.
myself.
It's 12 times 5 plus 2 zeros. So 6,000.
Oh, you just did it yourself. Look at that.
That was an easy one.
I was going to double check.
But no, I mean, the point is that we should be able to do those calculations and then use the stuff.
Look, I just double checked it and it matched. So that's the whole point, is like, it's a tool. It can double check you in those situations. It's going to be quicker, but in a more complex situation, then you can trust the tool because you know how that calculation is working.
I'll say this, and a lot of people talk about, losing their job to AI. And there's a lot of fear, like in the legislature, it, that like everybody wants to clamp down on AI, and I'm like, no, let it go, baby. I think it's like super beneficial. The potential is so good, and we should not be stifling it. We should be promoting it and working with it. Um, the fear that I think people are having is the same fear that they used to have with these.
Well, I'll even go back further. There used to be a thing called the Pony Express, which delivered a letter, right?
True.
And then they had a technological improvement that allowed for a telegraph. So those people did not have to now ride a horse a certain distance, like there was another tool.
Yep.
And then that became a telephone, but the telephone, you still had operators that had to connect you. And there were large warehouses of people that did the connection through the operator service.
Yep.
Now, if you ask someone that's in high school what an operator is, they're not even going to know what you're talking about. Like technology changes, those types of jobs change. And so it shouldn't be that AI takes away everyone's job. It should be a tool. Again, just like your phone is a tool.
Sam Altman, I keep on quoting him because I love the quote. AI is not going to replace people. People that use AI will replace people that do not.
Yeah, it's just scary. Change is scary. I mean,
It is, but it's not bad, my opinion.
We will be in the same boat when we get and later in life. There's going to be something else that comes out, and we're going to not understand it, and so we're going to be scared too. It's just going to be the same thing.
We're like end of Gen X, early millennials. We grew up free, and just as the turning of the computer age was coming in, we were learning all that. So we are monsters. We will never, ever get to that point.
There will be some other technological change that we will be scared of. Like for AI, for instance, like if you start hooking AI to like quantum theory, I mean, because it's a theory right now, but if they can ever like harness like free energy, our unknown like equations of the universe and hook AI to it, like that's an unknown. That's kind of scary to me. When you're talking about like Terminator type stuff, that would be scary, right?
It's never going to happen.
But that's what people get scared of, is what ifs, and just making sure we have safeguards around the stuff that we have.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about the Terminator. It's not going to happen. A legal fight over whether public tuition dollars can go to the Vermont religious school is moving forward in court. Mid-Vermont Christian School is suing the Vermont Agency of Education, arguing the state is discriminating against religious schools. While state officials say Vermont has the authority to set its own rules for which schools receive public funding. I can talk about this. You may not want to. I don't know.
No, I mean, just as a question, because I don't know the details of like what the rule is and who gets it and why. But the question for me is like, is it like you have a certain standard for both the religious school and the public school to meet, such as all teachers must have a 4-year bachelor's degree in education in order to teach? Like, is that like a set rule? And if you don't have it, then you don't get the funding.
So I think what the issue is that the state of Vermont is saying no to the religious schools, but are not saying no to independent schools.
Again, it's all about the rules, right? Like,
Right.
So
well,
are the rules the same for everyone?
The rules are changing in Act 73, but currently I don't think that's the case. And that's why I think the lawsuit is going through.
Gotcha. So you're right, if it's not the same level playing field and they're being discriminated against, then right. And then if Act 73 changes that, so then it's the same level playing field, then
that'll be
right.
Different.
Pre-law, they sue, they win. Post-law, it's now law, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we'll see. There are also
Phil, I don't know the details on that, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know very much. I just know what's there. Governor Phil Scott urging the Vermont House to move quickly on S93, a Senate-passed bill aimed at creating a forensic facility to certain violent offenders who are found incompetent to stand trial or not guilty by reason of insanity. Scott said Vermont's current system can leave courts with few options besides releasing some defendants back into the community without supervision. Supporters, including the state's attorney and victims' families, say the bill is meant to close a public safety gap between criminal justice system and the mental health services.
And so we did ask the AI about this before. So what it is, a forensic facility is a secure locked treatment center intended to house a small number of violent offenders who are either incompetent to stand trial or found not guilty by reason of insanity. So it does hold those individuals who are facing serious charges. It provides clinical treatment, and it operates as a locked, secure site managed by the Department of Corrections, it says here, which was sourced by my NBC5. So that's why whenever I use it, I make sure what was the source for it. And since that's a local news agency, I think that I can trust that.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And it's called a forensic facility because it serves people who are involved in the criminal legal system and require clinical mental health treatment. So it's like they're already in the system, and these are the guidelines or the rules around them.
Yeah. I don't have a problem if it takes people off the roads or off the streets that shouldn't be on there that are a danger to society. Vermont, this one's interesting because it's like huge topic. Vermont House has voted to partially repeal Act 181, reversing course on parts of last year's land use law after strong pushback from rural Vermonters and local officials. The bill, S325, would scrap the law's controversial road rule and their Tier 3 mapping, while leaving in place Act 181's efforts to ease development rules in an already built up area.
So long story short, is Tier 1 and 2 in place? Tier 3 goes away?
So Tier 3 goes away, and I feel like Tier 2, something happened to that because of Tier 3.
So
but
Tier
I
2
don't
might
know
just
the
cover
details.
Tier 3.
But the road rule's gone. Tier 3 is gone. And there were 2 amendments that passed, floor amendments, which was super unusual. Doesn't usually happen. And the floor amendments were from Greg Burt from Cabot. One of them was accessory on farm businesses would allow for educational, like you could use your farm for education purposes and not have to get an Act 250 permit. And the other one was changes in language to the regional planning section of the bill, allowing, would strengthen agriculture, forest industries, including homesteading and stuff like that. The First Amendment passed because it passed 142-2, and the Committee of Jurisdiction supported it on a split vote. And then the second one, the committee did not support it. And it had several Democrats breaking ranks, and they got chewed out for that. I mean, there was a public caucus where they even, like, you could feel the undertones of, if you do that again, you're going to get whipped.
Yeah. But I honestly, this process is one where I think I wish I saw it more with more bills, where people were able to comment back on a change, right? So Act 250 has been there forever. They tried a change, which was whatever the bill was last year, but the 181, right? And then the change this year is in response to that, because now that it's in effect, people are experiencing what it is not doing correctly. And so they're able to respond back to it.
Everybody knew what Act 181 was doing. I mean, Governor Scott knew it. The Republicans voted against it. He vetoed it. And the supermajority was like, no, we're going to do this no matter what you say. And what's really frustrating and like doesn't make any sense is we talk about the road rule, right? Like you make a road over 800 feet and you're subject to Act 250. So that is absolutely insane because the only people that are going to be able to go through the Act 250 process, people with lots of money. The people that are not going to go through it is you. If you have a property that you need to do 800 feet for a road, you're not going to be able to afford to go through that Act 250 process. So it was, VNRC, VPIRG, CLF, or whatever all those nonprofit advocacy groups that spend their lives making Vermonters' lives miserable through their environmental processes or this is a very frustrating thing for me. I get very irritated over it because Governor Scott multiple times said that this was going to be a problem and he vetoed the bill. And yet the legislature was like, hold my beer, and went ahead and just did. Well, they wouldn't hold beer because they don't drink beer.
But did they have a super majority?
Yeah, they had a super majority and they overrode it.
Okay, because I thought they don't have it now.
No,
so
they don't.
This was passed in the session when they had a super majority. I see what you're saying.
Yep.
No, so my point is just that not the average person is going to know all the details when a law goes into effect like this. So they don't see the impact until it is now the law and they start implementing it.
But and you're right, they don't see all the details. And the problem is that, people are far more interested in what the lobbyist groups are doing for their environmental lobbyists because they have their little, scorecards. Whatever.
But I mean, there's lobbyists on every which way, right? And some of it's like
but the lobbyists I talk to, I like, and they're good.
Because they have the same direction and goals that you do. But my point is, it's just like two individuals. There could be, like VPIRG could have something that you agree with and something that they don't. So each one of these groups, it could be that the majority of things that they do you don't agree with, but there's some things that you could. Like, I think we all agree on Green Up Day. Like, I think that's a cool thing, right? But VPIRG and you would agree that Green Up Day is a good thing, but you don't agree on everything.
Yep. That's all I got.
That's all?
That's all. Well, we went an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, that's good. No, it's good to be here. It's good to have this conversation.
See, you're wearing the mouton.
I am. So, of course, one of the other hats, I'm the secretary on the board for the
Did you get my check?
Your check for?
For my dues?
Oh, I don't have your card, if that's what you mean.
No, did you get my check?
I don't collect it. I'm not the treasurer. I'm the secretary.
Don't you know that stuff, though?
Not off the top of my head. That goes to another person. I can
did
find
you hear
out.
What I did?
I can do it right now if you want.
No, it's fine. Did you hear what I did? I paid 5 years in advance.
Oh, I think you did tell me that. Yeah, which is fine. I mean, I would actually like to see lots of programs, like a lot of the different social groups that we're a part of offer things like that. So for the American Legion, for example, you can be, they call it a puffle, paid up for life. And so you pay a fee ahead of time, and then you get your membership card for life.
How much is it?
It's a formula based on age. So you think about it, like if you pay $45 a year, but you're going to pay for 30 years, then there's a formula based on that versus, if you're...
Who's underwriting that?
It's all based through that organization. It's through the American Legion. But in organizations like the Sons of the American Legion, where the dues are typically different. So if it could be 25 for one location, but 30 for another, it's harder to set that as a paid up for life process. The VFW has paid up for life because I have my membership for life there, for example. But I think that's a better way to try to get people involved, because the hardest thing I think for an organization is going back every year and trying to say, just give me $25 for a membership fee, when you can say, or pay me this one fee and you can just do it once and we'll be good.
Yeah, I got a letter in the mail saying that my fees were due and I was going to lose my membership. And I called IB.
Brian Ivy.
Yep. And I'm like, can I just pay 5 years in advance? Because it feels like it was just like last week that I paid the dues from last year, and now I'm up. So I was just like, can I just pay 5 years in advance? And he's like, okay. We haven't had anybody do that before. And I was like, listen, if you guys raise the fees, just let me know and I'll pay more.
So if we have a couple more minutes, I have a question. And
Sure.
to get your input on. Through the Lions, they call it a service carnival. But in other places, it's really just having an event where all the volunteer organizations can come together, say at like a high school gym, and set up a booth so that members of the community can come out to see what they might be interested in participating in. Is that something you think, maybe the Barre community would be interested in?
I mean, I wouldn't mind going to that.
Well, I'm asking because I think a lot of people want to get involved, but either they don't know how, or like if they get involved with this one group, it doesn't quite fit. So they want to learn about, what is out there. And the intent is if you come and you say, hey, do you do X, Y, and Z? It's like it meets your criteria, and then you can go and sign up for that group. If you want to support military, for example, like the Elks does that, but the Legion does that. So which is your better fit? Is there a requirement that through the Legion you have to have served, or been the spouse of someone that served, or the child of someone that served? Versus in the Elks, it's usually a higher amount that you're paying for a membership. Like you can then
You got to do that.
look at those and pick and choose which fits you best. So I think it's a good way to put everything. I used to want to do like a one pager and just say like, this is what this group does, and check here if you're interested. But I'm thinking like as you go into a service carnival, it would be like you have that check sheet up front so that you can just go find the booth that you're interested in.
You could do that for the Barre Heritage Festival.
You could, yeah.
I bet you could talk to Tracy about that and setting up a day of, look at that. There you go. Perfect.
That's why I bring this with me everywhere, because then I can get those
Which reminds
ideas.
me, I have to pay. Oh, that reminds me, I got to do that. Got to get a booth. Got to get a booth for the church. All right. Well, on that note, Lucas, I do want to say thank you for coming.
Yeah.
And
thanks for having me.
You are welcome to come back anytime you want.
As long as it's during your operating hours, right?
During my operating hours, 7 p.m. Sunday nights.
No, this is fun. It's just sometimes it's tough. 7 on a Sunday, living in another town now.
Northfield, it's not easy. No, I get it.
But
you're welcome anytime.
But do you have an option to set this up like through Zoom too?
I do.
Okay, yeah.
We can do that as well.
Cool.
So you could be the correspondent in Northfield.
Reporting you live from Northfield. Yeah.
Could do that. All right.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Lucas. And thank you, everybody, for watching the Barre Beat podcast. And we will see you next week.